Kia ora, good morning. I just woke up a few minutes ago. I want to document this dream. Excuse me. I'm going to go back to sleep after this, but I had a dream that I'd had a bath. I was all fresh and clean, and I was heading out with my Bible, and I had to go to this house across the road, but in order to get to the house across the road, I had to go through this metal gate. And on the other side of this metal gate, there was this man walking along a pier, like you walk along them to get onto the ship. And he was giving a talk. He was a white guy, but he was talking about New Zealand and Māori history. He knew his stuff. Whoever he was, he knew his stuff. I was very impressed, enough so that I handed him my taiaha. But the thing was, my taiaha, it had like special writing on it, and it looked like it was made from whale bone, which I've never heard of a taiaha being made of whale bone. A taiaha is like a spear. But we use them for ceremonial things now. It was white, and it had black and red writing on it that it didn't look English. It may have been Māori, but I know that the taiaha that I was carrying, actually, it wasn't a taiaha. It was more shaped like a weird oar. O-A-R, like a weird, like, for paddling a boat, for paddling. It was a weird shape, but it was made from like whalebone but it was white and it had writing on it and it was sacred. And I handed it to this man and he started using it like a taiaha. He was spinning it round and jabbing it, and he was doing incredible with it. I'll put a link in the video in the description box below of someone using a taiaha, so you can see. There's a famous scene in the movie Once Were Warriors where the kid's using the taiaha, but it didn't look like that. It looked like an oar, but he was using it like a taiaha, and it had all this writing on it. But I knew it was sacred. He put his one down to use mine, and it was awesome to watch. Then next thing I know, I'm at the top of the mast of this ship that was just like the Endeavour. The kind of boats that they used when they when the British colonists discovered New Zealand, when Abel Tasman went out and discovered the South Island, and then James Cook came and, stepped foot on New Zealand soil, although Māori people had been there since like the 13th century. And the 17th century is when the British got involved. But it was like one of those ships from like the 17th century. And I was at the top and I was showing these three men. There was three men and a woman. And I was showing the men how to break the curse. I don't know what curse, but I was showing them how to break the curse. And it involved having to walk along one side of the mask where I had placed these bamboo cups that had drinks in it, and the first one went and he was fearless. He wasn't bothered by it at all. The first one that had to go, he walked along it, he drank from each cup. I don't know what was in the cup. I just know that he had to walk along the mask pole and drink from these bamboo cups, and then when he was done he had to jump into the water, which would have been quite the feat. It would have, like in real life, that would have been quite the feat. But he did it and he was fearless. He wasn't bothered at all. And in actual fact, when he got into the water and came up again, he got to the side of the boat and he was like, basically saying like, it's all right, I've got this. I'll get the others up. I've got this. Like, it's okay. And he jumped back in the boat and he put this plank down so that I could get onto the shore again. And I walked down it and went into this house where how do I explain it? The men were back in the house and there were three men and a woman, and they all had to sacrifice something. I don't know what the other three things were, but I know that the one who jumped into the water had to sacrifice this shark. It had been caught, it had been taken inside, it was dead, but he had to stab it. And he was reluctant, he was hesitant to do it. So he kind of just gave it a wee poke and the shark just disintegrated. It was a great white shark. Where he stabbed it, it just split open. There were these men like lifting its head up so that he could have access to its like throat area. And he stabbed it. And where he stabbed it, it just split all the way open. And then there was this baby shark inside that was still alive. And people felt sad, but they were just going to put the shark back in the water. Like, they had no interest in hurting the baby shark. And the woman had to hit something over the head. I can't remember what it was. I don't know what it was, but I know when she was lifting up it was like a big wooden mace or something. She had to smack it she had to knock it on the head. But every time she was picking up the mace, she kept falling over because it was quite heavy. But I don't know, it may have been like a ram or something. I don't know. I can't remember. So then I'm sitting here trying to interpret the dream, thinking, what the hell? And then I figured it out. I don't know whether I had always told King Charles that him and I had to work together to fix some stuff that happened between his ancestors and mine. That we were being brought together to pay off karmic debt between our two bloodlines. Because they annexed New Zealand on behalf of the king. And we had wars and, had to sign the Treaty of Waitangi and all of that. And, it wasn't great between us. There's a lot of Māori people that still are resentful of the British monarchy for taking New Zealand and blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, the thing is, I was going to say you can't change history. I can literally change history. But, like what's done is done. And the thing is that we were running out of food and they bought a lot of things that helped us survive after, we were basically wiped out of all our food. And I think my dream is me showing the royal family, King Charles, Princess Anne, Andrew and Edward, teaching them how to defend themselves against the great white shark. Because sharks in dreams represent the hunter and the hunted, the predator and the prey. In this case, it would represent the government. It would represent, I always refer to the shark at the moment, the great white shark, as Donald Trump. Because, he has that big flashy smile. He's like the great white shark. You can trust me. Hop in my mouth. You can trust me. I won't eat you, I promise. No, that's not bones stuck in my teeth. That's broccoli. It's cauliflower. That sort of thing. But the fact that the man, and none of them look like the royal family, by the way. I'm just saying that I'm telling you I know what it is. He was hesitant to jab it, but when he did it and the shark just fell apart, it was like using his words to defend him, using his words to make his problem, to get rid of the problem. So I don't know whether it's like the writing that was on that paddle thing that I had may have been, it was written like an old language, when you opened it, like old textbooks, like really old books that were back in the days when they were all handwritten. The first word would be written in red ink and then the rest would be written in black. It was just like that, but I couldn't tell you what the language was, but I knew that the writing on it was really, 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 really important. It was like they were sacred words. So because I handed it to the man who wasn't Māori, but he knew how to use it, how to use the oar, it's basically symbolic of, because I keep talking about the king and the king's law and using ancient laws, finding old laws to defeat the government, to take the government down, to take Starmer down, to take them all down. That's what the shark represents. And being sad about it because it's like none of this should have happened. We should never have been put in this situation where the king and his family were learning to have to defend themselves against the great white shark. The shark should have always been on the side of the king. That's exactly what it was like. Like we didn't want to have to do it, but we were left no choice. And I think it's to do with Donald Trump and this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing. Because now it's just come out that Tony Blair's been caught out, Gordon Brown's been caught out, and it's only a matter of time before Starmer's named as well. So basically the royal family finding out that I was telling the truth about everything, because if it was made from a whale bone, if the ore was made of the whalebone, it's navigating a difficult situation using purity, peace, honesty, innocence, majesty, the power of intuition and emotion, the ancient wisdom of the waters, using ancient water wisdom, which, I mean, I'm a water sign, and in my own mythology, I'm a water goddess. I speak for the water, even when I'm reading tea leaves and coffee cups and all that, reading tea and coffee. I read the water because even though I was born in the underworld, I rule everything to do with water, emotion, intuition. It's like a crystal ball for me. And it's like the man who jumped in the water, I'm pretty sure, was King Charles. And he was like, he had no hesitations. Once I showed him what to do, he had no hesitations in doing everything I told him to do. And then he was going to show the others. So the interesting thing is that when Abel Tasman and James Cook discovered New Zealand, and documented New Zealand, it was during the reign of King Charles the First, and now I'm helping King Charles the Third. The other thing is that one of James Cook's houses is just up the road from where I live. I've actually got a photo, I think, on my old SIM card. I know I had it on my old Instagram that they're cutting off. A photo, we went to James Cook's house. I got a photo of the blue plaque. And in Whitby, there's like a James Cook museum. And then the man who annexed New Zealand on behalf of the King, on behalf of the British government, his last name was Wakefield, Edward Wakefield. And I live in Wakefield. So remember my dream, oh gosh, what was it called? Flying high as a kite. I said to you, I was being told that I was always meant to help King Charles. It was my destiny that God needed me to master quantum magnetics and that for the purpose of helping King Charles and protecting Great Britain and the Commonwealth. Well, this dream is confirming it. We didn't kill the baby shark because the shark was innocent. The baby had nothing to do with it, and it was put back in the water, which means when this is over and all the bad guys are taken down, when all the people that are causing all this problem who are a threat to the royal family are removed and taken down and dealt with, there will be innocent people in all of this who won't be affected. So meaning like there'll be some MPs and some people that the king will have had to have dealt with in correlation to having to deal with the predator shark. I did, and because the thing is, we were surprised that there was a baby shark in the big shark because the big shark was a male shark. Like we knew it was a male shark. So when this great white shark disintegrated and we saw the baby in there, we knew, like, well, we're not going to kill it because it's completely innocent, so we just carried it back to the water. Which means, that if there are people out there watching the king deal with all of this and they're worried about losing their jobs or being caught up in it, they don't need to worry. That not everyone's going down with the ship. Like, the only people who are going to be held accountable are the ones who came after the royal family and Great Britain and the Commonwealth, and that if you were the secretary or an MP or just, an innocent person who just happened to be working there sort of thing, you don't need to worry. It's that. The innocent won't go down with the guilty, just, they won't be found guilty by association. His hesitancy to stab it is because the king, I think, was hoping that the stuff I was saying wasn't true, hoping that I'd gotten it wrong. He was hoping that they would prove themselves to not be who it appeared they were. He was hoping I was wrong, so he was hesitant. But he's going to use his words, he's going to use something legal, he's going to use something that is definitive and puts an end to it and is maybe even cutting. He might use his words in a cutting, how do I put it? He might lash out. He might have a go at them and use his angry words. He might not eat a pear and he might say a swear, which he would have every bloody right to. So however he deals with them, he's going to use the law. It's going to be old laws that he's using to deal with the British government, but in terms with Donald Trump and that as well. Putting an end to the relationship, putting the end to the connection, having nothing to do with it anymore, but with people like Keir Starmer and Tony Blair and all of that, these people that he thought were his friends, which is why it was sad to do it, using pointed words, admonishing them, telling them off, giving them a good telling off, and maybe saying a swear or two. The woman who needed to hit something over the head, I'm pretty sure, was Princess Anne, and she kept falling backwards because her mace, which looked like it was made from wood, was very heavy, but it was like a little bit funny, but it was kind of like she's around people herself in her own personal life where she needs to knock it on the head. Like her being reluctant and hesitant to knock certain relationships on the head, but knowing it needed to happen. The other two were breaking the curtain. The other two, while the one that was representative of King Charles was doing that with the shark, and the one that was representative of Princess Anne was knocking that thing on the head. The other two were doing what they had to do on the mast to drink the water and drink what was in those cups and jump in the water. The fact that they were on the mast, seeing things from a higher perspective and knowing what it is they had to do, and nobody was hesitant to do it. Like, they all knew that it had to be done, but there were some relationships that are either going to be painful to cut off, because they trusted them. These were people that they trusted, and having to knock things on the head. The fact that it was Charles and Princess Anne is because she's his right-hand man. So You know, she was born after him, but she's his right hand man, just like how Gabriel is Thomas's general. And yeah, it was King Charles I that was the king when they did this with New Zealand. You know, when they mapped New Zealand out, and yeah, so it's no coincidence. So basically, long story short, I'm helping the royal family break a curse. My ancestors may have put a utu on them, and I'm lifting it. And utu is like the curse of karmic consequences. Whereas, like a tapu, you put a tapu on the land or you put a tapu on a person, where it's like if you have broken kind of any sort of protocol, you'll get a tapu, you'll get like bad luck, it's a curse. But an utu is the curse of karmic consequences that affects your ancestors. So it's not just the person who did the Māori, who broke the code of protocol or offended the Māori person, the what would you call it, like a shaman, it, like whoever put the utu on them, it's not just the person who has the utu put on them that is cursed, it's their family and their descendants as well. Their ancestors in the spirit world also have to suffer the consequences of the curse until the person corrects the mistake they made, and then the curse is lifted. So everybody in that person's life, living and dead, living or dead, future and past, pay the consequences for offending the Māori person who put the utu on them. And I think I was showing them how to lift the utu. My ancestors may have put a utu on King Charles I and his family and descendants and all of that, and now it's all come to a head in Donald Trump and Keir Starmer, and I'm showing the king how to defend himself, to protect his family, to lift the curse. And in exchange, he's going to protect us from our evil Australian, New Zealand, Commonwealth overlords, but help get me justice as well, I think. By me helping the king's going to help me get justice for what was done to me. You know, with my ex and all that. So, yeah. So interesting dream. I can still see the ship in my head though. I love those sort of ships. And it was like once it was done, the ship was setting sail off into the sunset. Like it was just gliding along the water off onto the sunset, off into the sunset. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. And then just as it was sort of the back end of the ship, the whale came up out of the water with the baby shark, and it was like it was guiding the ship. So a whale had taken the baby shark under its wing, sort of thing, like the whale was accompanying the baby shark, and they were following the ship off into the sunset. And the baby shark was kind of, you know, when whales breach and they put the water out of their spouts and stuff like that, the little baby shark was doing the same, which means the old the old ways, the ancient ways, and the new ways merging together in order to take Great Britain and New Zealand, maybe the Commonwealth, but definitely Great Britain and New Zealand, to new horizons. So, yeah. So the royal family, I think with the evidence that I've handed the king, it's given him the strength and the courage to stand up and defend himself against the Labour, against the government, because now Tony Blair's been named, Gordon Brown's been named, Starmer's already been named, but he's not come up in the files yet, but he will come up in the files. And realising that they were hunting him down, that the Queen was right, and him needing to do something about it. But when he acts, I think these people are going to get a verbal telling off, Starmer especially. The King's going to use his words, and they're not going to like it, and they're going to everything's going to fall apart. The government will fall apart. The connection, the relationship between Trump, America, and Great Britain, and that, it's all going to disintegrate and fall apart, but go back to purity and innocence. Go back to something that's innocent. Where the old ways and the new ways will come together, kind of like how I use ancient laws, how I use like ancient mythology, how I use ancient, like the Bible, how I use things from the ancient past, and I merge it with modern science, which is what the prophecy is. The prophecy was that the woman who would bring together the four corners of the globe would create a teaching that merges science and religion to create a new form of, not spirituality, but create not a new faith. Teach people the new way to connect to God and ancestry and all that, using ancient teachings in a modern form. The marriage between science and religion, or science and faith. But my science requires going back to the past, to like the ancient ways, connecting with the ancient ancestors and all of that. So that's what all that was. And like the drinking of the cups, walking along the mast, is like not that it's dangerous, although like basically having to navigate a tricky situation where balance and focus is absolutely required, and then having to take a leap of faith, trusting your intuition and not letting the emotions of it all get the better of you, and being humble about it. So not letting ego and pride get in the way, and doing what's absolutely necessary to fix the situation. That's why they had to climb up the mast and walk along it and drink the drinks and then jump into the water. I don't know what was in the cups though, but I know they were bamboo cups, which means being humble. Like you wouldn't expect the royal family to, I don't know, to drink whatever was in those cups. I think it was like I'd made up potions. I'm pretty sure I made up potions. They were only allowed to take a sip though from each cup. I think there were like 4 or 5 cups along the stretch of this mast. But he did it. He was not hesitating at all. Then when he got back up in the boat and laid the plank down so that I could walk off the boat and onto the shore to get into that house, that's him helping me in turn. Because I helped him, he's helping me. So I think I was born to be here at the right time when Starmer and Trump and Tony Blair and all that were going to do what they were planning to do, so that I could show him how to navigate his way out of it. And because Abel Tasman is the one who charted New Zealand, and then it was Captain Cook that stepped foot, like mapped the whole thing out. So, because of where I'm living, because it was Edward Wakefield who annexed New Zealand on behalf of the British government and all of that, it says to me that him and I were brought together at the right time, at the right place, where I would master quantum magnetics, and my occult physicist badass self to defend the king at the time when he was going to need it, that I would be handing him the answers on what to do, because I handed the ore. So whoever that man was that I handed the ore to, that looked like it was made from whalebone, that had the ancient writing on it, I think might be someone working with the king or on behalf of the king. Because he knew his stuff, he either had to be like a lawyer or a judge. But I was impressed with how he knew how to use this all like a taiaha. So, yeah, showing the royal family how to defend themselves against the predators so they're no longer prey. And it being a great white shark, and great white sharks being the totem for predator prey, if you think about everyone on that Epstein list, the predators. Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, all of them, the predators coming after the royal family. So, because I'm doing these investigations, like the one I did yesterday with Prince Andrew within that photo and all of that, it's like I'm handing them the means and the will to defend themselves, because standard royal protocol dictates that they shouldn't be like they're supposed to keep their mouth shut, but King Charles is not going to keep his mouth shut, which is why he was stabbing. And whatever it is he says to them, and he's a Scorpio, so it's going to be his words are going to be, they're going to feel his words, because we have poison in our tails, so when we hit and strike, they're going to feel it. So, and you think of like rats as well, because he's a Scorpio rat like me, Chinese year of the rat. Fearless. They'll eat through anything. Gnawing. No, 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 no. Eat through anything. So when he does stand up for himself and use his words, they're going to feel it. They're going to feel it to the core of the very fibre of their being. And they'll fall apart. Starmer won't know what to do with himself. He's a coward anyway, but he won't know what to do with himself. The fact that they were drinking out of bamboo cups as well, he may have done something in China or regarding China that's going to get brought up in it too. So, yeah. Right, so I'm going to go now, but I had to... Oh, excuse me, I had to document that because that was fascinating. I'm going to go back to sleep. I had to document it because something's coming. I feel like there's something happening that I'm being kept out of. With that channel vanishing in there, I've got a feeling like there's stuff going on behind closed doors, or there's stuff happening that I'm being kept out of the loop or something. Anyway, so I'm going to go back to sleep. Oh, I'll speak to you later, ka kite anō.